Today we are going to revise chapter 15 from ecology, biodiversity and conservation. Now if we see around our earth, or if we have a look on the planet earth, we will see that different type of living organisms are present on the earth. Means we can say that the enormous, means large amount of diversity is there of the living organisms. And even if we talk about the human being is also surprised to see such variety of living organisms which is present on this planet earth. Now, if a common man, it is very difficult for him to believe that there are more than 20,000 species of ants and near about 3 lakh species of beetles, 28,000 species of fishes and nearly 20,000 species of orchids. Means you can imagine that different types of living organisms are present on the earth, and which forms the biodiversity. Now the biologists which are studying about the evolution, and the ecologists which are studying the ecology, they are also very much fascinated by this diversity, and they have lot of queries regarding this, that how such type of biodiversity is possible on the earth. Now biodiversity, bio means living organisms and diversity means different forms, means different forms of living organisms are present on the earth. And if we talk about this difference at the species level, then also different organisms of different species are present, and they are different from each other at the macromolecular level also. Means the differences are not only in their outer appearance, but the differences are also in the molecular arrangement of the cells also. And that means we can say that from the cells to the biomes, we see different types of differences present in the living organism. Now Edward Wilson, he has described the combined diversity organization. Means what he is saying, that biodiversity is the term popularized. Who has popularized this? Edward Wilson has popularized this term, which is called biodiversity. And this biodiversity is describing the living organisms at all the levels. So now we will talk about the levels of the biodiversity. First one is the genetic diversity. Means the diversity which is present at the genetic level, means the genetic composition of the organism. Now we can we can say that the genetic diversity means the diversity which is present at the genetic level. Genetic variations shown by medicinal plant like Ravolfia vomitoria growing in different Himalayan ranges. This is an example that living organisms are different from each other at the genetic level also. And the example is the medicinal plant Ravolfia vomitoria, and it is grown in the Himalayan ranges. And what is its function? That it has the potency and the concentration of active chemicals. Active chemicals are present in this plant, and the name of the chemical is reserpine. And this medicinal plant which is growing in the Himalayan ranges, it shows a lot of diversity or different forms at the genetic level also. And if we talk about the rice, there are near about 50,000 strains of rice and near about 1,000 varieties of mangoes. Now the diversity at the second level, it is at the species level. Living organisms are different from each other at the species level also. For example, in the Western Ghats, there are amphibians species, and which are different from the species which are found on the Eastern Ghats. Means the diversity is present at the species level also. And the ecological diversity, if we talk about all the ecosystems, for example, desert, rainforest, mangroves, coral reef, wetlands, estuaries and alpine meadows, all these are different ecosystems, and these ecosystems, they also show a great diversity. Now we have talked about the three levels of diversity, that is genetic, species and ecological diversity. Now evolution, what is evolution? Changes from generation to generation and which are forming new characteristics. Means these changes, they are accumulating in the living organisms from generation to generation, and in this way different organisms are formed. But if the evolution occurs, then there may be loss in the wealth of, or we can say that some of the species may also get extinct. Means because if evolution is occurring, some of the organisms, the new species will be formed, but the existing species may also get lost. So it is necessary that there should be conservation of biodiversity. And how this biodiversity can be conserved, if the people which are living on this planet earth, they realize the importance of the different living organisms which are present on this earth, and they talk about the well-being of earth. How many species are there on the earth and how many in India? As we know that this earth planet, it has lot of biodiversity, and if we talk about the India, it is one of the mega diversity spot. Why it is called as a mega biodiversity spot? Because there is variation in the temperature or and in the environmental conditions from state to state, and because of these diversities and variations in the temperature and the environmental conditions, different types of living organisms are found in India. If we talk about the written records and if we talk about the number of species present on the earth, then it is not easy to answer the question that how many species are present on the earth. But if we talk about the IUCN, then the total number of plants and animal species which are present on the earth, that may be more than 1.5 million, but we do not have exact and the clear idea about it. There are many of the estimates. People are estimating that there may be this number of organisms, and for many taxonomic groups, species inventories are more complete in temperate than in tropical countries. Means if we compare the tropical area and the temperate area, then we can say that there may be more number of organisms in the temperate areas. Now considering that an overwhelmingly large proportion of the species, we know that there are lot of diversity present on the earth's surface, but still there are many of the species, millions of species which are waiting to be discovered. Means we don't have any information about them. Now, if we make a comparison between the temperate and the tropical species, then we and regarding the insects, and then we compare it with the ratio of the other animals and plants, then we can say that the number of these insects, that is more than the other organisms present on the earth. And some extreme estimates that there may be 20 to 50 million of organisms, but a more conservative and scientifically sound estimate made by Robert May places the global species diversity at about 7 million. So these are the various estimates, these are the various guesses which the different biologists, ecologists and the concerned persons have made, that their number may reach up to the from 20 to 50 million to it may reach to it may increase. And the Robert May, he has said that the diversity, it may reach up to 7 million. Now let us have a look at the interesting aspect about Earth's biodiversity, and that is that number of organisms present on the Earth. If we talk, more than 70% of all the species recorded are animals, whereas plants, in planty kingdom, what are included? Algae, fungi, bryophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. They comprise more than 22% of the total. Means 70% are animals, 22% of the total are plants. And in the animals, insects are also there, and these insects, they cover near about 70% of the total. So we can say that 70% are animals, and out of those 70%, 70% are the insects. Means on this earth, if we compare animals, out of the 10 animals on this earth, 7 are insects. Means we can say that phylum Arthropoda, that belongs to the insects, their number is greatest on this earth. Now this why there is enormous diversification of insects, yeah, why there are more number of insects on the earth? Because these insects, they are able to survive in any of the extreme conditions also, and that's why their number is more on the earth. If we talk about the fungi species, then the number of fungus species is more in the world than the combined total species of fishes, amphibians, reptiles and mammals. Means fungus is more on the earth than the total species of fishes, amphibians, reptiles and mammals. So now see, this is figure 15.1. What it is shown here, in the first they have shown that these insects, this part is totally covered by insects, and the other animals are then molluscs, crustaceans and animals. Means if we talk about the animals, then out of in these animals 70% is surrounded by insects. Then if we talk about the vertebrates, then in vertebrates 50% it is covered by fishes, and rest it is covered by mammals, birds, reptiles and amphibians. And if we talk about the plants, then in plants fungi are more in number as compared to mosses, ferns, algae and lichens, and rest of the part it is covered with the angiosperms, which are known as flowering plants. So these are the various number of organisms, or we can say that this is the global biodiversity, and which is shown by plants, invertebrates and vertebrates. Now these estimates, they do not give us exact idea. In this estimate they have not given any number to the prokaryotes. Now these biologists, they are themselves not sure that the prokaryotic species were present at that time or not. So there are many of the problems related with this कन्वेंशनल टेक्सोनॉमिक मेथड, कि जहाँ पर हम अपना ओल्ड मेथड यूज़ कर रहे हैं लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स को क्लासीफाई करने के लिए, वहाँ पर जो है प्रोकैरियोट्स को, माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स को जो है कोई स्पेस नहीं दिया गया है. एंड इफ़ वी एक्सेप्ट बायोकेमिकल और मोलिकुलर क्राइटेरिया फॉर डेलिनेटिंग स्पीशीज फॉर दिस ग्रुप, देन देयर डाइवर्सिटी अलोन माइट रन इनटू मिलियंस. कि अगर हम इन माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स को ही अगर स्पेस दे देते हैं, देन वी कैन से कि जो नंबर है वो क्या हो जाएगा, मिलियंस में ही इन माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स का ही पहुंच जाएगा. मीन्स जो हमारी कन्वेंशनल मेथड ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन है, दैट इज़ नॉट एप्रोप्रिएट और दैट इज़ नॉट द एग्जैक्ट मेथड ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन. Now if we talk about the India has only 2.4% of the world's land area. Means if we talk about the geographical area, that total world's land area का जो है सिर्फ 2.4% पार्ट किसके पास है, अर्थ के इंडिया के पास है. एंड इफ़ वी टॉक अबाउट द ग्लोबल बायोडाइवर्सिटी, देन इट इज़ 8.1%. मीन्स वी कैन से कि एरिया इज़ लेस, चाहे एरिया लेस है बट द डाइवर्सिटी इज़ more, and that makes our country a mega biodiversity country of the world.